everybody, and welcome to Western Sydney International Dragway. Another great crowd in the house, and we're here today for some awesome top Doorslammer, Pro Stock and Supercharged Outlaw action. Fans already on their feet, looking forward to a big dose as we check out some Supercharged Outlaw action. Aaron Hambridge already out there smoking them up. Nathan Prendergast joins me in commentary.
Yes, Aaron was one of the ones that got into the field. One that unfortunately didn't was Mark Flowers with this unfortunate supercharger backfire in qualifying. Have a look at the front of this Austin A40 utility and you'll see a flash of flame right there. Now what that did is it backfired the supercharger, pressurized the fuel tank and actually split it. Now unfortunately that's poured fuel onto the hot engine and a little bit of a fire broke out. What made it difficult to put out was that the fuel continually kept pouring out. They did eventually get it out and the safety crew right on the scene.
And that would have taken a while to clean up afterwards too, I would imagine, as Aaron Hambridge backs up.
Hambridge in this ex-Santos Cranes Top Fuel Dragster. This is what Glenn Micros did to this car in 1996. A 498 at 460 kilometres an hour, and the car actually broke in half. Now the Hambridge team have managed to get hold of this car. They've obviously done a fair bit of work on it, and they're into Supercharged Outlaws.
Looks already like a better run than Micros in terms of what will be the end result.
Let's hope so, that's for sure. Solo pass for Hambridge, time to test the dial in. He runs a 724 at 179 miles per hour or 287 kilometres an hour. Now,
good looking car.
More your style this one way. big supercharger hanging out of the bonnet.
What makes you say that?
Well, I just certainly think it looks like you, mate. It's got doors.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Nath. John Cannulli in the Holden Tirana hatch. That's a wicked-looking beast.
Yeah, Cannulli with another solo pass. Unfortunately, Simon Holgerson in the Volkswagen, a very popular car, was unable to start, so he gives Cannulli a chance to test his dial in. He gets a solo pass and makes his way automatically into the semi-final at 820, 166 miles an hour, or 266 kilometres per hour.
Oh, I'm disappointed the bug didn't get a run. Not happy at all. Daniel Callahan in the LC Holden Torrey. This thing runs hard. Yes, it's a very, very powerful Tirana and loves big, smoky burnouts as he just completes it and gets it all sideways. That was almost halfway down, wasn't it? That was a meaty burn. Yes, up against John Armour. Now, John Armour's actually got a small block CHEV-powered dragster. The ironic thing about that is the engine in this LC Tirana was originally out of a 5-second small block CHEV-powered top alcohol dragster, which was driven by Mark Brew from Queensland. So it's got the horsepower. It doesn't have the balance, however, of the dragster. The Cal 400 Motorsport Torrey, the far lane up against the American Auto Parts entry of Armour. Both cars bring him into stage. Of course, Supercharged Outlaws is dial your own racing, which means they'll have a handicap start. Each driver nominates a time which they think their vehicle can run close to. In this instance, I think the dragster gets the heads up start. Wheels in the air for Cal. He's not going to catch John Armour. And the dragster gets the win. Yes, it's Armour all the way, you might say. A 718 at 195, a good run. 312 Ks. Callahan, you see, faster with his speed. Doesn't get the win. Yeah, big speed from a car like that, 196 miles an hour, but he all lost it. Have a look at this on the replay. It just picks the front wheels up in the air and it keeps going. He was forced to button off the throttle, and from there, the dragster had the edge and he was not going to be caught. Great run from Armour there. Gee, there's some mad-looking machines in this Supercharged Outlaw class. Some fantastic-looking gear. Tom Jackson, the Komatsu 1937 Chev. That is a great-looking ride. And in the near lane, good burnout too for Jackson. And there's something about this car. It looks so swoopy, the paint scheme, everything. Yeah. There's not many cars that look better doing a burnout than that 1937 Chev. Mind you, XB Falcons look pretty tough. Timmy Caswell looks all right. The Ford man shows his true colours. Caswell backing up now from all the way from Queensland. Tommy Jackson, a Sydney sider, used to compete many years ago at the old Eastern Creek Raceway with a Datsun 260Z. And was tied up with Eastern Creek Performance for some time. That's mean, isn't it? The Superior Glassworks entry. Nice job, Tommy Jackson. It's got enough rear wing to land a helicopter on. Beautiful car, but being dial your own racing, it doesn't matter how quick or how good you look. It's about how consistent you run and how close you can get to that dial in. Caswell brings it into stage now. The XB to lead first, the Chevy to do the chasing. Bit of tyre shake for Jackson. I don't think he's going to catch the Ford unless the Ford breaks out. No. Caswell puts him away. A 778, 176 mile an hour, almost 283 Ks. You see Jackson much quicker. Top Doorslammers are up in just a few moments. Nathan Prendergast, whoever's in the pits, talking mumbo.
A according to HSV, their 300 kilowatt GDS can cover the standing quarter mile in around 13 seconds at near on 170 kilometres an hour. Imagine then how much horsepower you need to push a 1,700 kilogram Doorslammer down the quarter mile in 6 seconds at near on 400 kilometres an hour. The answer, 3,500 horsepower or 2,600 kilowatts.
The engine in a top Doorslammer is a purpose-built 500 plus cubic inch all aluminium configuration, running massive hemispherical design cylinder heads. Loosely based on the original Chrysler Hemi, the engine still runs a single camshaft and pushrod configuration. However, the size of componentry has enlarged considerably.
Because of the enormous power made, everything in these engines is built super tough and lightweight. These conrods, for example, are around 5 times thicker than what you'll find in a standard V8. Unfortunately, they need replacing every 15 to 20 passes.
Different teams run different supercharger types, but they're all designed to create plenty of power in a short period of time. Running on methanol, the fuel is fed into the engines at a number of different points, including above the blower and into the manifold. All that fuel is burnt by these massive 44 amp magnetos that output a spark similar to an arc welder and allow these huge engines to rev above 10,000 RPM. At a cost of around $60,000, it's important to maintain these engines correctly and make wise decisions when it comes to the tune-up.
Round one now of top Doorslammer eliminations, and here is Gary Phillips in the Lucas All Products 63 Studi. What a wild-looking Studebaker. It looks mean. Great crowd in the house here at Western Sydney International Dragway. Coming up against Mr. Manic, Steve Stanik, in that lucky Boleri Camaro.
Yes, and you might notice there's a little bit of bodywork change to the front left side of that car. Bit of a band-aid, you might say, with a lot of race tape. Steve Stanik had himself a very wild ride indeed in qualifying. Have a look at this. This afternoon, the car all out of shape, stayed on the throttle and glanced off the wall. Stanik very lucky to keep that 67 alive.
What's ironic about this, Nathan, is he drills the wall in almost exactly the same spot that Grant O'Rourke did at the track opener. And this is what ended up happening. Pretty well the same deal, just drills the wall here. And as you remember, O'Rourke ended up lending his motors to Stanik to complete the rest of the weekend. That's ironic.
Yeah, good drive job by Stanik. A lot of tyre shaking. The car hit the wall very hard indeed. But as you can see, they qualified into the field prior to that, and they've managed to fix the car up. Let's have a look at Gary Phillips now, 50 years of age, from Hillscrest in Queensland, 609, 235 mile an hour, and he has won 10 top alcohol championships, 11 winter nationals, 9 nationals, and he's actually the only man in any drag racing category to win 7 consecutive national championships.
Yeah, he'll be good one day.
Yeah, one of these days.
Steve Stanik, a real quietly spoken kind of a character, bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, but he gets this lucky Boleri Camaro, only backed by Castrol and the Lucas Studi in the far lane. This will be a corker.
Red starting to build up around the 5,000 RPM mark. Phillips with a lot of changes to the rear end of this car, looking to get some performance out of this thing. Stanik has won around at the first round at Willowbank. He's loose, heads for the centre line, he's out of shape. Phillips has the jump on him and will not be caught.
And you cannot get loose in top Doorslammer competition. A 649 at 223.9, a shade under 360 kilometres an hour. You get loose, you are on the trailer.
Yeah, it's a bad luck for Stanik. Have a look at the replay here. The car darted straight for the centre line, shook the tyres. Phillips, likewise, with a lot of tyre shaking, actually had to pedal the car as well, but was good enough to stay in front and get the win.
Mate, any win that you can get around bad tyre shake like that and still beat your opponent's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, as long as you don't touch any of the walls or anything, we've already been down that road in the last couple of months. So we're looking forward to the next round, and hopefully we can make some progression in this points for Lucas All Products.
Top Doorslammer round one eliminations right now as they fire up the Ben Bray entry, complete with a new Super Cheap Autos colour scheme. And Ben Bray in a mean mood, his form's been outstanding. And have a look at the 57 Chev, huge big shark on the side. That's a fat looking Doorslammer.
It certainly is. Beautiful livery. The first time the Sydney crowd had seen the car in these colours. Of course, it competed in Perth in its new guise, and Ben very keen to debut this car, actually, a Monaro, a brand new Monaro on his way for the next season of Top Doorslammer racing, as Morris Fabietti completes his burnout.
Can you just imagine the discussion at the Bray table when Ben first brought that up to his old man? I'm thinking of Monaro, Dad. You're thinking, what? Is there a car after 57?
Well, Ben Bray was very, very quick in qualifying, put the car into the number 2 position as a matter of fact, and that was good enough to stay there with a 6.25. And Shane Olive, who was in beside him on that last pass, unfortunately didn't make it into the field after getting very loose indeed and nearly put the car on its roof.
Man, that's got to be scary stuff.
Olive unfortunately failing once again to get into the top Doorslammer field, and you cannot blame him. This field is tough, Wade.
Yes, absolutely. I just wonder how the Bray is going to work all of those contingency sponsors down the side of the Monaro. It seems like the 57's just built for it. Fabietti just turns out a beautiful Monaro.
Yes, Morris finding form, ran a 6.25 in Perth, and this beautiful K&N Performance Filters Monaro has really got the potential to run at the front of this field. The guys just need a little bit more budget, a little bit more testing to get the car down the racetrack and get it there ahead of the other competitor.
Will it be fabulous, or will it be Benny the Kid in the far lane, the Super Cheap Autos Castrol 57 Chevy up against the K&N Monaro nearest to camera?
Have a look at these massive engines hanging out the bonnets of these cars. Without a doubt, one of the most exciting looking race cars in drag racing. Revs are up, waiting for Fab to bump it in. He does so. Pro start. Fabietti's out of shape. Buttons off. Smoke and a bang. Supercharger for Bray. Can Fabietti catch him? Yes.
Oh man, that's got to be disappointing for Ben Bray. He had Fabietti on toast. A 7.17, 210, a comparatively slow run, beats a 7.84. Bray limping home.
Yeah, look at the Supercharger moving around. It has lifted the Supercharger clean off the top of that car, and Ben Bray, I'm judging by the amount of smoke that is coming out from underneath of the car. That is more than a bang Supercharger. I would say that is probably a fairly damaged engine. Let's have a look at this on the replay. Benny Bray had the edge. Watch the Supercharger. Boom! Now that normally happens when something else goes wrong, i.e. a dropped valve or broken conrod or something like that. So that could be a very expensive thing for Ben Bray.
Fabietti's got to be absolutely blown away with this. He was thinking, I'm gone. He's got the thing way out of the traps. It's sideways. He's watching Bray disappear. Then the smoke. You think, man, has he lit the tyres or what's to go? I'm going to get the lot for less. And what a run for Fabietti. He advances. Bray's out.
Yeah, we put a bit of power in for the first round, and obviously the track couldn't handle it. And it started shaking, so I give up. And then I saw Benny starting to smoke, so I thought, gee, we've got a chance here. Let's get after it. So we're lucky we mowed him down at the finish.
Continuing now as we go on board, this would be the Jack Daniels onboard camera of Brett Stevens in the 63 Studebaker waiting. This is round one of top Doorslammer eliminations, and he's up against the Batmobile. Peter Kapiris. Man, they just do such an awesome job with the preparation. If this isn't one of the most marketable forms of motorsport, top Doorslammer, in any categories, I'll eat my hat.
You certainly won't find any argument from me. One person that was lucky to get to the field was Brett Stevens, who got the car all out of shape on his very first qualifying class. Have a look at the drive job he has to do. That's a lot of lock for Doorslammer. Other race drivers might be going, well, it doesn't seem like that much to me, but I'll tell you what, if you've got that much wheel lock on, you are in trouble in Doorslammer. Stevens did get into the field, though, with a 6.26 to put him into the number 4 qualifying position. Peter Kapiris also qualified in the field. However, he's been having a horrid run lately, a non-qualifier in Perth. I caught up with him earlier.
It seems like the front runners from the previous years, yourself, Victor, are struggling. Is that because you're trying new things?
Yeah, I think Victor's like us. Yeah, I think Benny's sort of got the same tune-up, and Victor's trying new things on his car, and we're doing the same. I know, it's, like I said, it's probably not the place to do it, but it's just hard, you know. So you get something new and you think it's going to, you know, you never put something on the car thinking you're going to go backwards, you know. So I come here thinking, oh, grouse, yeah, we've got a couple of new things, should go really good, but obviously it hasn't.
What you get is what you see with Peter Kapiris. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of BS. It's just straight to the point.
Yes, he's a really tough racer as well. Did very, very well in last year's championship. Unfortunately, 2003, 2004, been pretty tough on him. He didn't qualify the car at the last round in Perth. Actually hit the wall pretty hard and did a bit of damage to the side of the car. This man on screen, though, Brett Stevens, has been the absolute opposite. He has been to the final in every single category of every single race meeting of this championship that he has competed in so far. That is top Doorslammer and top bike. He's very, very hot.
On any quarter mile, Jack lives here. Kapiris closes the camera. Stevens, who's been putting them away. Can he do it with Kapiris this time? Kapiris has just said, looking for some form. What's the go here?
Well, the tree counted down incorrectly, and we have a pair of red lights on both sides of the racetrack. Stevens still runs the 632 at 225 miles per hour, but unfortunately, a malfunction with the start lights Have a look here on the replay. You see, normally you get a flash of all 6 ambers. We only had 2 then. Now, I think they're going to award the win to Stevens anyway, because you can see Kapiris was actually out of shape and crossed the centre line, which is an automatic disqualification. Have a look at the replay here from Stevens. He doesn't seem to have too many trouble, just shifts up through the gears, reaches up for the parachute, and runs it through the top end of the racetrack. But yeah, a bit of controversy here at Western Sydney International Dragway. They are going to award the win to Brett Stevens, and you can see Peter Kapiris' team are going, what the?
Wow, controversial scenes down here on ground level. Man, never see that happen ever. Paul Gregini, the Outlaw Speed Shop Corvette. You've got to love a Corvette top door slammer. Just great stuff indeed. And furthest lane is the Victor Bray Castrol 57. As you can see, huge burnout, as is the trademark.
And Victor's been struggling this season, but found his form in qualifying. The #1 qualifier with a 6:19, 228 miles per hour. And that's the form that we all know Victor's capable of. The undisputed king of top door slammer. More titles than anyone else, and has been there, done that.
Yeah, and he must be breathing a huge sigh of relief, Nate, although he doesn't call qualifying part of the race meeting, really. It's this type of situation where your head's up, where Victor says you really got to get the job done. But, man, the pressure's been on the big fella.
Yeah, Gregini also had a little bit of a moment in qualifying, got the car fairly loose in the braking area, and this 63, I think it is, Corvette, is an absolutely beautiful looking thing. I'd say, though, it's going to be a tough ask for him to get around Bray.
Yeah, well, we would have said that at several encounters that Victor's been in just of late. His form has been down, his luck's been wanting, but maybe this is a time for the boss to check back in.
Yes, Victor certainly is a cool customer when it comes to driving these cars, just waiting for both of the guys to bump into stage. Bit of a burn down. Top door slam is getting that tough that they are playing some start line games these days. Look at Bray all the way. Gregini's out of the group, and no one is going to catch Victor Bray.
Isn't it great to see him back in form too? A 6:23 at 2:28. Not quite as quick as his qualifying run, but he'll be heartened by that.
Yes, he certainly will be. Another car competing here this weekend for licensing is this beautiful 49 Mercury of Wayne Price. Unfortunately, he's not racing, but he's licensing the car, and it certainly is a hot-looking thing.
Wayne, door slammers are beautiful cars, but you've certainly gone one step on the rest of the field. This thing is show quality. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. It's taken a long time to build, but we wanted to build something a lot different to what anyone else has got.
Tell me about the amount of hours and time and, God forbid, dollars you spent on this thing.
Yeah, Trev, the crew chief, spent, I don't know, thousands and thousands of hours. You know, he made the body, you know, cut it in half, and he did all the tin work. I got the easy job, I just got to pay for it.
I don't know if that's such an easy job. I bet it's been quite an ordeal.
Yeah, it's been pretty expensive, but, you know, our main aim is to get down the track and, you know, get some experience, get some seat time.
Theoretically, does it have the goods, though, at the front of the car to run with the field?
Yeah, it's got all the good gear. It's got a brand new Brad Anderson. You know, we've got all the right gear. We've got, you know, all the computer, all the data. So it's just a matter of learning how to use it all, and, you know, obviously getting some track time.
Time now for Pro Stock, this incredibly technical category. And I say that in terms of what is required to get these things down the quarter mile. Jason Grimer up against Joe Polito. Ford Probe, in fact, a couple of Ford Probes here. Great looking cars. Hey, talk about technical situation here. To bang these things through the box at what, 100 RPM each time? That's your window of opportunity?
Yeah, 5 shifts, and you've got to get it very, very close to that shift point indeed. Otherwise, these cars just will not run. A man who knows how to do that is Joe Polito.
Well, I started, I think it was 1972. I started racing an XY Falcon in Superstock in the days of Castlereagh. And it's been a family thing all the time, you know. We sort of, but you know, my ultimate goal was obviously to move in the pro stock. We did that in 1986 or 87, and we've been doing it ever since.
After so long in the category, Joe knows all too well what is required to run at the front.
A lot of money for a start, and a lot of hard work. I mean, a lot of R&D, a lot of hours, and you just got to keep on the program all the time. You just can't back off at all. If you sort of just relax, everyone catches up and starts breathing down your neck.
The race car may be red, but there's one colour you'll always find on a Polito machine, the blue of the Ford Oval. But in a category dominated by CHEVs, why persist with his beloved Ford?
I'm always up for a challenge. That's my thing. If it's easy, if you can just buy it, if you can just, I don't know, I just like a challenge. Well, we got to look in the States and tell me how many Fords run Pro Stock, and as a matter of fact, how many Fords run in any category.
Like many in drag racing, Joe Polito gets as much buzz with the spanners as he does behind the wheel.
Winning comes second, though. Going fast is what I really sort of go and aim for. You know, I enjoy driving. Don't get me wrong, but I mean the development is just something that I really get a kick out of.
Well, this is going to be a good battle. Jason Grimer up against the experience of Polito. That's a magnificently turned out probe.
But a sad moment for friends of yours, Wade. The Ford fans will see that you've got two Fords up against each other, and one of them is unfortunately going to have to go on the trailer. Also, Joe Polito does the engines for Jason Grimer, so these guys are pretty close, good friends, and they certainly wouldn't like to be putting each other out.
Oh, red light on Polito. You are kidding. And I tell you what, the luckiest man out of this whole deal is Grimer. He was going nowhere in a hurry, but hard rights.
Yeah, Jason Grimer was all out of shape, went straight for the centre line, and funnily enough, that's the second red light in a row for Joe Polito. He did the same thing at the first round at the Summer Nationals, and a red light, would you believe, by 8/1000ths of a second. That is tough.
Oh man, he's got to be worried about the way that disturbing trend. Gavin Handley now up against Mr. Pro Stock right here. Tony Wedlock, the ultimate financial group Pontiac. This guy is tough.
Undefeated since June of 2003. Tony Wedlock is without a doubt the man on a mission at the moment. However, he can never qualify this car into #1 position. He slotted into #2 earlier on in the day and put the car down with a nice strong 7.4 second pass, but always #2 position for Tony Wedlock. Could be a good omen for him, though.
One of the oldest style bodies in the game, and I'm not talking about Tony himself, but that the thing is one of the oldest looking cars in the game. It just seems to put away the best looking new machinery every time.
Yes, it's certainly got the best new machinery up front where it counts as well in the engine department. Up against his good friend and former crewman Gavin Handley, who's come into Pro Stock Eliminator. This car of Gavin's is certainly a tough car, but I don't think it's got the goods to get around Tony. And Tony, I would certainly say, would not like to put Gavin away, but racing's racing.
Yeah, I would say he won't have any hesitation whatsoever in doing that. Handley got off to a great launch, but it's good night, nurse. Put down your glasses. Wedlock hammers it home.
Yeah, Tony very comfortable that he had the performance to get around him. 746 at 183 miles per hour. And gave Gavin the advantage off the start line, but just mowed him down from there. Have a look at the replay. You can see Gavin goes a long way early. Now Wedlock up through the gears. He's done this so often. Nice, cool, calm, collected. Look how casually he just reaches up to the chutes. Thank you very much. When's the next round?
No room in there, is there? He's a very big fella. It's very cramped inside. Welcome to Western Sydney International Dragway, this incredible new venue. Peter Polikas in the Ford Falcon. Beautifully turned out Falcon. Not this badly turned out Falcon here this weekend, of course. And Peter Ridgway, Mr. Immaculate, the Speedflow Oldsmobile Cutlass.
And as per usual, Ridgway goes to the #1 qualifying position earlier on this afternoon with a 7.409. Jason Grimer may have looked like he was quicker. That's because he had the advantage off the start line. But Ridgway, again, #1 qualifier.
Beautifully turned out Falcon right here. But you would have to think, no matter who's pedaling the thing, when Ridgway's in the other lane, you've got your work cut out for you.
Ridgway always very quick and always very fast. He tends to run a little bit more speed than anyone else, and Peter puts it down to the fact that with this car, they've gone to the trouble of actually splitting the carburetors in half and spreading them out on the manifold to get a more direct shot into the cylinder head. Lets the engine breathe a little bit better, lets it rev a little bit higher on the top end of the racetrack. Jeez, Peter needed to get a good hole shot on that occasion up against Ridgway to have any chance, but he certainly gave a lot away on the start line.
Yeah, Ridgway runs it through a 740 at 185. It's a shade under 297 kilometres an hour. And Ridgway, of course, who sold this car some time ago, but still driving it.
Yes, Dave Rogan, hopefully going to be in the driver's seat a little bit later on in the year. Here's a man with a brand new power plant, Mike Tinney in the Sigweld Commodore.
Beautifully turned out up alongside Dennis Whiting. Much older body style in comparison, but Whiting has been able to take it to Wedlock in previous runs.
Yes, Dennis Whiting qualifying quite strongly into the #3 qualifying position with his Pontiac Grand Prix. And Whiting has been a real mover and shaker in Pro Stock Eliminator. Actually went to the final up against Tony Wedlock at the Summer Nationals, or the opening event here at Western Sydney International Dragway, and actually put Peter Ridgway on the trailer with a hole shot in the semi-final. So he certainly is a tough and wily customer.
It'd be great to see some Australian body styling starting to get into the finals. Tinny would love to put this Sigwell Commodore in there. Let's see whether he's able to do that.
Yeah, Tinny struck the tyres quite heavily in qualifying with this car. As I said, it's a new engine, has bulk power, actually probably as much power as anyone else in the field, but it's a matter of learning the clutch setup and getting the thing to run hard. Tinny nearly bumped it through stage there. You can see he's actually deep staged and the car goes nowhere.
Man, you cannot be happy with that. Whiting will blaze away regardless of what time he runs here. It's a 761 180. Oh man, Tinny got filthy.
Stay with us, there's plenty more from Western Sydney after the break.
Welcome back, race fans, to Western Sydney International Dragway. This incredible new drag facility. Nathan Prendergast in the pits, the cockpits, that is.
Some people prefer manual gearboxes, others prefer automatics. In the case of Top Doorslammer, they have the best of both worlds. The majority of teams use a 3-speed Lenco transmission that delivers the masses of power created to the ground, and although shifted manually, doesn't require the clutch between gears. The driver will dump the clutch off the start line, and to shift gears will use an air-activated button system either on the steering wheel or, in this example, off to the right. This one for second, this one for top gear.
Semi-final time now of Top Doorslammer and Gary Phillips coming into this one. Confidence absolutely brimming up against Morris Fabietti in the K&M Monaro, who took care of Ben Bray, though mechanical woes took care of Ben Bray as well. You'd certainly have to lean towards Phillips here in the studio. We'll see what some Monaro magic may triumph.
Yes, and speaking of Ben Bray, that engine explosion in the first round was 2 kicked conrods at a cost of around $50,000.
That's just not right, is it? That's not right. Mind you, they're playing big dollars, big cubes, and when something goes wrong, it's going to be big trouble. Phillips is usually mechanically sound, though, isn't he? You don't usually get many dramas from this car.
Gary Phillips, certainly there's not many people in the country that know their way around an alcohol engine better than himself, but the problem Phillips has had is with reliability with the setups suspension-wise on this car. Now, Scott Leo from SNL Fabrications has done a lot of work on that thing. Let's have a look at Morris Fabietti.
Yeah, 42 years of age, lives in Vineyard, New South Wales. There's the ET at 625 at the Motorplex, in fact. Top speed of 230, achievements 89 nationals and winter nationals champ in Superstock. Fabulous, they call him.
Yes, Morris Fabietti had a famous Gemini's Double B gas car that everyone absolutely loved, and unfortunately he stuck it in the wall at the Adelaide Grand Prix on a track racing demonstration. Had some time off from the sport and has returned big time with this Top Doorslammer.
Fabietti, engines and parts, Monaro closest to camera. It's going to have to be a big job to knock off Phillips in the Lucas Aussie Bananas entry.
Well, Phillips has been very successful in top alcohol. As I said, 10 national championships, but he has not had one win in Top Doorslammer in all the years of his competition. Fabietti's got the edge on him. Now Phillips has come around him in the top end of the racetrack. Phillips is on his way to the final.
Man, that's a great run. 6:30 at 2:27. Fabietti dead set unlucky. His reaction time was fantastic. He was out of the traps a little better than Phillips. I thought he had him early.
Yeah, certainly by half track, the Monaro had the nose on him. Let's have a look at this on the replay, and you can see there's half a car length there. Then the car got out of the groove, and Phillips just had the top in charge, drove around him, and got the win.
What did you think it ran, Gary?
Probably low 30, still shook, but boy, it's got some steam, let me tell you, because we were ready.
Well, mate, you were right on the money. 6:30, and you're into the final.
Should be doing this for a living, huh? Lucas Oil Products, without you, I wouldn't be here, boys. Thank you.
Second semi-final coming up in a moment between Brett Stevens and that man there, Victor Bray. Nathan Prendergast caught up with Brett Stevens, the boss, earlier today.
A job worth doing is worth doing well. So to compete in two of Australia's toughest drag racing categories and to be leading the championship in both is certainly a job well done for Brett Stevens.
Brett Stevens has been one of the form runners in Top Fuel motorcycles.
I went to the States about 13 years ago. I met a guy called Jim McClure. I actually saw him race here in Australia. Hooked up with him over there, went to a couple of race meetings and got the bug. Yeah, you know, the Nitro Harley thing, that was the first bike or drag vehicle I ever put down a drag strip. It was in Narrabeen up near Gladstone, and it was an awesome ride too. Smoked the tyre from the start line to the finish line, but it was just one of those experiences I just couldn't wait to do it again.
It hasn't all been smooth sailing for the Queensland racer, who experienced many a tough day at the office.
Yeah, I've had a couple of major explosions, put a couple of cylinder heads a long way into outer space, and I fell off at 300 kilometres an hour in Adelaide as well. That smashed me up pretty good. We got back on the bike after 3 months, you know, broke my shoulder and hurt my neck pretty bad, and a couple of broken ribs and fingers and stuff. But got back on there, and I said to my dad, who's my crew guy on the bike, I said, we'll just do a shakedown pass on this one, Dad, see how I feel and see how the bike is. And after a total rebuild on the bike, the throttles jammed on at half track, and I went screaming down in the grass at Willowbank, and the fire crew come up to me because all the brakes were glowing red, and, you know, I finally got it shut down, and I was laughing. They said, you're crazy. I said, mate, if I don't laugh, I'm going to start crying.
The Jack Daniels outfit is one of only 2 teams that compete in 2 Group 1 categories.
You know, we'd reached the pinnacle with the Harley and Top Bike, and, you know, 80% of the people in Australia drive cars and only 20% ride motorbikes. So we'd sort of reached as many people as we could reach. The next step was to get into a car, and Doorslammer seemed an obvious choice to me. It's still got that sort of wild outlook to it, and they're a fun thing to drive. And, you know, so we stepped into a Studebaker.
Currently, Stevens is responsible for his own Doorslammer and 3 Nitro Harleys. But the pit area is about to become even more crowded.
My wife Kath's going to step into a Doorslammer very shortly. The car's actually finished painted, sitting in the workshop at home. The engine's going in it next week.
You know, I'm really looking forward to it. So it's been a long time coming, and with Brett manufacturing the cars now, it should be really good. He's going to test it first.
A lot of people, I think, are going to underestimate her. She's a tiny little lady, and but she actually was a truck driver in the Army for 6 years. So I think she's got the skills. She's definitely got the determination to do it. So, you know, I think we can make it happen. And all things being safe, you know, I've got to teach her how to drive it. So if she does something wrong, it'll be my fault.
You might be the boss in the race car, but you're the real boss?
Yeah, something like that.
As far as I'm concerned, Brett is still the boss.
Yes.
No offence, Kath, but Brett is still the boss. Well, this is a classic matchup right here. These guys, well, there's a respect there, but I don't think there's too much fondness between the two. What a beauty it'll be. Victor finding some form up against the very much in form Brett Stevens.
Yes, certainly very big rivals on and off the racetrack, and Brett Stevens would certainly get a lot of satisfaction about putting the king of Doorslammer on the trailer. Stevens, you've got to say, on current form, has certainly been going to be the tough man to beat. As I said, he's been to the final in every category of every race meeting he's attended this year. However, Victor was the #1 qualifier. He still holds low ET. Stevens has had a little bit of trouble getting this car down the racetrack, and you'd have to say Victor on this weekend is also going to be very hard to beat.
Not a huge burnout on the part of Victor by any means. We'll see whether that translates into a big run coming up here. And as always, Victor's wife Marie backing him up to get set for what will be a classic matchup.
Victor has just gone to a new engine combination, 521 cubic inches rather than the 511 cubic inches that the majority of teams run, and the guys are just starting to get on top of the combination. Victor, however, has really, as I said earlier, struggled a little bit this season, but I think what they're doing is doing what Brett Stevens did last year, is experimenting with new parts, trying to find a benchmark and watch out next season or the end of this season.
Oh, who would you lay your money on here? This will be an even bet.
Waiting for Brett to bump it in. He's in. Victor's gone. A huge red light for Victor Bray. You do not see that often from Victor Bray.
Well, that's pressure, Nathan. That's where Victor's been the last few rounds. A 6:48 for Stevens at 219. It's a canter, really, when you consider a 6:19. You have a look at Brett. He's absolutely pumped, saying, good on you, Victor. Man, that's pressure, Nathan.
And again, Brett Stevens into the final. This man is so tough. Have a look at this on the replay. Revs are up around 5,000. That's the brake he's playing with. He bumped it in, and you just saw Victor lead. I think what's happened as Brett Stevens has gone into full stage and the last stage light has come on, Victor's seen the flash of light and gone, hang on a second, start time, let's go. Have a look here on the replay. Watch as Brett bumps it in, Victor goes. You do not see that very often at all.
And it's a tragedy for Castrol Racing. They were desperate to get some track time in. The boss reigns supreme.
Okay, Brett, a 6:48 sees you into the final. The big fella red lighted.
Yeah, I saw that red light come on, and I sort of messed up my gear change. And then after that, but there's a smile on my face. But we got to get this thing back out there and make it win the final now.
Well, it should be a good run between you and Gary Phillips. So See how you go.
Gary's going real well, so it's going to be a good final. Let's get it in and get it done.
Supercharged Outlaws semi-final action right now from Western Sydney International Dragway, this incredible venue that has really struck a chord with Sydney motorsport fans.
Yes, Supercharged Outlaws, a dial-your-own category for both open cars like the ones you see here, dragsters, alters and funny cars, and of course blown sedan cars like Cannoli and Callaghans. But on this occasion, 2 open cars, 2 dragsters, facing off for a spot in the final.
Yeah, John ARMOUR up against HAMBRIDGE. So I don't think anybody really carries any sort of an advantage in, although some modifications of the front wing just about taken care of then. You wonder whether HAMBRIDGE or ARMOUR would go on this one. Probably ARMOUR, you would think, may take care of business.
Well, ARMOUR's dialed in with a 710, HAMBRIDGE with a 691, so that tells me HAMBRIDGE car is obviously quicker, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get the win. If HAMBRIDGE goes quicker than his 691 or ARMOUR goes quicker than his 710, they lose, no matter if they get to the finishing line first. So not only is this a race of reaction times and speed, it's also a race of consistency. You've got to know your car.
Well, HAMBRIDGE gets off to a good start. As you said, though, it's dial your own time. You got to check he hasn't broken out. It's got to be slower than a 691, and he's a 684.
Yes, too quick for HAMBRIDGE, a really good pass, 684, but unfortunately he puts John ARMOUR into the final. ARMOUR runs a 7119 on a 710 dial-in, so he was very close to his dial-in. That's why he got the win, and although HAMBRIDGE got there first, he went too quick.
Well, it did seem like with HAMBRIDGE he needed to shut it down towards the end. He got off to such a good start. Here is John Cannoli in the Holden Tirana hatch up against Timmy Caswell in the XB Falcon.
Caswell, this car's been around for some time, a Queensland racer, runs in Supercharged Outlaws in Queensland, which I have to tell you is probably one of the toughest fields of racing anywhere in the country. Supercharged Outlaws at Willowbank is exceptionally tough, and that means that Caswell's got a lot of experience running in this category. Cannoli, a relatively newcomer from Sydney, and would have to certainly pull something out very strong to get around Caswell.
Crossroads Motorsports Holden Torrey, beautifully turned out, absolutely immaculate. Has the job at hand, as Nathan said. Semi-final action now.
820 up against a 7.70, so the orange Tirana to leave first. He's got a little bit of a head start, and Caswell's got to chase him down. He ran an 820. Cannoli in the first round of eliminations. Is he that consistent this time? Well, he's going to get there first, and he gets the win. 822 beats a 775. He was closer to his dial-in. He had a better reaction time, and he got the win.
Well done by Cannoli all round. Really, you saw him just shut it down towards the end of the run. Brett Stevens just returning back for that semi-final run. We've got more top Doorslammer action coming up very soon. This will be another interesting battle for anybody that fronts up against this man, Tony Wedlock. Man, he is just on fire. His form cannot be denied. As you can see in there, very little room inside the Ultimate Financial Group Pontiac. He doesn't seem to need much room. It's just bang, bang, bang through the box. Where's the prize money?
Yes, as he puts the Liberty 5-speed transmission into first gear. You can see he goes straight into third gear for the burnout, brings the revs up, gets off the clutch, fourth, fifth, into top gear, and Tony is the burnout king of Pro Stock Eliminator. Does nice, big, long burnouts. You can see Dennis Whiting doesn't start in third gear by the looks of things. Might have been first or second and went up through quite a few more gears in his burnout, and a bit of a shorter effort for Whiting.
Certainly not the first time these two have clashed on track. Would be the second time I think we've seen them go at it here at Western Sydney. Let's take a look at right now at Dennis Whiting, 54 years of age, 4 daughters. Man, it's one who's got time to race. Toowoomba in Queensland's where he's from, and a Vietnam veteran. So anything this guy faces on the quarter mile would pale in comparison.
Yes, Dennis is a proud Aussie battler. That's how he likes to describe himself, and he certainly would like to get one back on Tony Wedlock, who snatched victory from him in the final of the Summer Nationals here a couple of months ago. Can he do it? Well, he's got a very, very tough customer in beside him.
Yeah, Whiting's form has been good coming into this, though. He had a very strong run previously. See whether he can put away Wedlock.
Personal best of 744. He's going to need to come up with something that strong to get around Wedlock. However, Whiting is so cagey on the start line. Into stage. Wedlock comes out. Look at the gap he's got on Whiting, and it is good night, nurse.
You're never going to come back at Wedlock from there, are you? Just looked good right from the start. It seemed like there it is, a 741 at 183 beats a 760 at 180.8. And there he is, as casually looks over and says, I got you again, sunshine.
Yeah, that was a great pass from Tony Wedlock. Immediately the car left that start line. Have a look at here on the replay. Just drills him, bumps it in. Both guys get out quite cleanly, actually. I don't think Whiting had the advantage off the start line like he's been putting on some of the other competitors. And Wedlock, a little bit tougher race, but again, into another final.
7:41, Tony, into the final. How was it?
Oh, look, absolutely great. The track's coming around. The weather conditions are starting to really suit our cars. Things couldn't be better, actually.
Second semi now between Jason Griemer and the Westside Auto Electrical Probe. It's good to see Jason into the semis too, and that beautifully turned out probe. Nice, strong, healthy burnout. And Peter Ridgway in the Speed Flow Oldsmobile Cutlass, Mr. Immaculate.
Yes, a semi-final lose was unfortunately on the cards for Peter Ridgway at the Summer Nationals. He went quicker but got hole shot by Dennis Whiting. Let's have a look at that again. Ridgway bumps it into stage on the rev limit of 7,200 RPM. They come out up to 9,000. Whiting has the jump on Ridgway. You can see him out of the window. Ridgway starting to chase him down. Does he get there?
No, Whiting, a giant killing effort. A 7:53 beats a 7:47. Well, it's very much a battle for this man right here, Jason Griemer, to take care of Ridgway. Ridgway, the celebrated veteran. Griemer, relatively a newcomer in terms of, well, the difference in experience between himself and Ridgway, that is. So it's Probe up against Cutlass Oldsmobile. Ridgway with the Speed Flow backing.
Yeah, Griemer will really need to find something very tough on the start line here in the way of reaction times. I don't think Jason will even argue with you that Ridgway has more horsepower. There's more development time in the engine of that car. Griemer with the Ford probably down, you know, a little bit of horsepower. He has to get a good reaction time off the start line if he's going to beat Ridgway. Both cars look to get out fairly cleanly. Actually, Griemer has the edge to half track. But here comes the big top-end charge of that Cutlass.
Well, I thought Griemer did a pretty good job there, Nate. A 7:41 at 185.2 miles an hour beats a 7:54 at 180.9. I thought Griemer took it to him.
He certainly did. He certainly had a little bit of a gap, a couple of feet on him as they come past his first camera position. As you line them up, nearly dead on, but from here on, Peter Ridgway, as I said, this car, a lot of mile an hour, was the #1 qualifier, big horsepower, and Peter Ridgway to meet Tony Wedlock in the final.
7:41, Peter, into another final.
Yeah, look, what can I say? I'm starting to like this place. No, look, it was a good run. Jason was right there beside me for most of the run, and I'm really happy for the team owner, Dave Rogan, sponsors Speedflow, John William Auto Sales, and let's hope we can get the next one in.
Final time now for Supercharged Outlaws and John Cannuli in the Holden Tirana. And this will be somewhat of a giant killing effort if Cannuli can take care of the final.
Yes, Dragster versus Sedan, and that's what people love about Supercharged Outlaws. A lot of variety, different styles of cars, but people certainly have a love for supercharged vehicles. They're loud, they're very fast, very explosive. John Armour backs up this beautiful American Auto Parts Dragster, powered by a small block Chevrolet, and dialed in for this final with a 707, so he's dropped his dial in a little bit. Cannuli stuck with his 820, so obviously Armour thinks that the car's probably going to go a little bit quicker in this cooler night air.
And there's so much to be considered, isn't there? It's not just a heads-up drag race. You've got to consider your index. Cannuli to the far lane, gets away as you'd expect. Now, Armour, what can he do with him? Cannuli's got a great run going. Sparks off the Dragster.
Start line advantage for Cannuli, and it equates to a win at the end. 8:22 at 168 mile an hour beats a 7:07. Armour was closer to his dial-in. Cannuli got the advantage on the start line. That was a great race.
Well done to Cannuli. The team are ecstatic. I'm just wondering if I'm not seeing sparks coming out the back of the American Auto Parts Dragster of Armour here.
Yeah, there did seem to be something flashing out of the car from about half track on. You can see it there, so maybe a problem for Armour. It certainly is shooting something out, but no dramas for John Cannuli, his first win in Supercharged Outlaws.
This is excellent.
How'd it feel, mate?
Awesome. Unreal. Hard racer to beat, man. I was just flat to the floor all the way.
Looks like you got a good light there, and John was mowing you down, but he couldn't quite catch him, mate. He ran out a quarter mile.
I was waiting for him to come down and waiting for him, looking over my shoulder. I couldn't see him. I said, well, if I broke out, I broke out. That was it.
Yes, you don't think John Cannuli's a pretty happy boy. And look at the crew. They're absolutely ecstatic. Well done, boys. Time now for Pro Stock Eliminator Final. And, man, that man Wedlock again in the final. Go figure.
A very unique category Pro Stock Eliminator in Australia. They run 400 cubic inch small block engines, not the big block 500 cubic inches like they run in the United States, but they make over 1,000 horsepower out of these relatively small 6.5 litre engines. Incredible stuff. Ridgeway versus Wedlock, #1 versus #2 qualifier. What a battle.
First time we've seen Ridgeway too in the far lane, in the wind Spitfire lane here. Wedlock, I think, has been pure far lane stuff as well. So Ridgeway, we'll see how he fares. I think if anyone's got it, it's this man here.
Nice short shaft shift up into top gear for Ridgeway, and relatively large burnout for Ridgeway's performance as well. But as you can see, Wedlock well past the Christmas tree just brings this car back. These Liberty gearboxes are designed that if you're going down the racetrack and you actually get off the throttle, they will neutralise themselves. It's a bit of a safety feature. If you get off the throttle and take your hand off the lever, they'll neutralise themselves. So you only really get one shot at it in a Pro Stock car. If you get off the throttle, it's pretty much game over.
Could it get any harder, Nath? Can we introduce something else that's just a little bit more technical?
Well, Tony Wedlock certainly has been very tough this year. Of course, he got the win at the Summer Nationals. Let's take a look at that great victory. Wedlock this time is forced to go in first. Whiting will bump it in. One flash, both cars get away clean. I think Whiting has the edge off the start line. Wedlock is with him side by side. Wedlock is going to get the win at the Summer Nationals.
A 7.47 at 292 kilometres an hour beats a 7.55 at 290. Well, his confidence is certainly not bruised at all. This man right here, Tony Wedlock, in the Wedlock Racing Ultimate Financial Group Pontiac. Far lane, the Speed Flow Oldsmobile Cutlass of Peter Ridgeway.
The Summer Nationals was the hat trick. Will this be the, what is it, a quadrella? 4 in a row?
4 in a row will do. The Mendham Engineering entry, and Wedlock, his confidence is just soaring.
Bit of a start line game going on here. Both cars are in what is called pre-stage, where they have 6 inches to go before they're into the full stage, or right on the start line. Now Wedlock's in, just waiting on Ridgeway. Revs are up, slightly bumps it in on the floor with the throttle. Out they come hard. Wedlock has the advantage off the start line. He's got the whole shot. Here comes Ridgeway.
Oh man, that's got to be Wedlock. It is a 7.41, 183.1 miles an hour, a 7.399 for Ridgeway. That thing of Wedlock's is a steam train.
For the second time in a row, Peter Ridgeway loses with a quicker elapsed time. He was whole shot. You can see Wedlock has the edge on him. Now the Cutlass comes back, but their advantage on the start line for Tony Wedlock got him the win. 7.41 beats a 7.39. The win margin was 77 thousandths of a second, but it's great to see the crews congratulating each other. Fantastic win for Tony Wedlock.
A 7.41 beats a 7.39 whole shot.
Oh, look, wow, what an awesome, awesome car. You know, that Peter Ridgeway's team is just a great team, but I tell you what, our team's just as equal and probably, if not a bit better. What an awesome weekend. I don't know what to say.
I believe that's 2 on the trot at the new place here, mate.
Oh, mate, look, this will just make the drive back to Queensland magnificent.
Congratulations, Tony.
Thanks, buddy. Tough.
Final time now for top Doorslammer, and out comes Brett Stevens, as usual, arriving for work early in the studio. Big burnout now as he shapes up alongside Gary Phillips, Lucas Oil Products, Aussie Banana Studio. A pair of Studebakers in this one for the final.
Yes, and it's fantastic to see Phillips finding form. Obviously, the work that's been done to the suspension on this car is certainly paying dividends, and they're finding some really good form. Stevens also in another final.
Don't forget, last time that we competed here at Western Sydney, the top Doorslammers, Stevens made his way into the final. Here's what happened last time he was in the final.
Benny bumps it in, the revs are up, waiting for full stage from Ben Bray, waiting for that extra light to appear on the top of the Christmas tree. There it is, one flash of all 6 ambers, and Stevens smokes the tyres. Benny Bray's going all the way.
Bray is gone, a 6.25, smokes a 6.74. So Benny the Kid took care of Brett in that one. It's now a time for him to, well, make good on that. Phillips is going to come up alongside him. This will be a good matchup. Phillips will be brimming with confidence here.
Yes, he certainly would be. Phillips has never won a top door slammer event in all of the years he's competed in this category. When I say all the years, it's only been a few. Obviously, he started in top alcohol. Brett Stevens, as I said, has been to the final of every round, but he's only actually won one of them. That was in Perth, Western Australia, and that was the last round. So he'd have to be fairly confident, you must say.
Remarkable the way that these body kits actually fit around the cars. You actually see that Phillips looks like he's sitting in the back seat of this duty, the way that body kit works. It's a sleek looking design. It really cut through the air beautifully.
Brett Stevens building his cars now. Of course, he's built one for his wife, Kath, who will be debuting a Corvette later on this year. Phillips also has had a lot of involvement in the building of that car as well. Stevens is in, waiting for Phillips to bring it in now. 5,000 RPM, up to 7, 8, 9. Make it 10,000 on the finishing line. Stevens has got him. Phillips again around him in the top end of the racetrack. Gary Phillips wins his first top door slammer event.
A 6:31 at 227. Look at that jubilation for Phillips. He takes care of the boss. Well, a great run for Phillips.
Brett Stevens, the bridesmaid again. Let's have a look at this on the replay. You can see Stevens gets the edge on Phillips. Then the car heads to the centre line. He gets a little loose, and Phillips with the top end charge. No shortage of horsepower, and you can see the chutes out the window.
Man, that's not something that you expected to see. I think a lot of us thought that Stevens may take care of Phillips. Looking at it from outside here, Brett had the initial launch. The car looked good, as you said, Nate. Then it started to creep towards the line, and just here is where Phillips just lays it down.
Well, Phillips again was struck with tyre shake, I just noticed, off the start line, but the car drove around him on the top end of the racetrack. But Brett Stevens, unfortunately, bridesmaid again.
Oh, very unhappy Brett Stevens. Gary Phillips on the other side, absolutely stoked.
Well, Gary Phillips, your first win in top door slammer. Congratulations, mate.
Been a long flaming time coming. Hey, Lucas Oil Products, the crew, just all the other competitors, we've been trying. Silly little things have been biting us, but thanks to Scott Leo for helping us with the rear end and all that stuff in the car, and it's turned the car around. Now we've got something we can race. Brett, great. I don't know what we ran in the final. Wasn't too bad at Chook, but hey, we got the win light. And I'm an old man. I'm getting wore out.